Hello, I am Dr. Amrita Sinha, and today we'll be discussing about the DC motors. The topics to be covered today are working principle of DC motor, the motor voltage equations, then the derivation of torque equation, losses in motor, and finally the power flow diagram of DC motor. What is a DC motor? The electric motor operated by DC supply is known as a DC motor, and the device which converts DC electrical power to the mechanical power, or the conversion from electrical energy to mechanical energy, is known as a motor. So when you operate the motor with the DC, it is known as a DC motor. Now, what is the basic principle behind a DC motor? When a current carrying conductor is placed in a magnetic field, it experiences a torque and has a tendency to move. In other words, when a magnetic field and an electric field interact, a mechanical force is produced. The DC motor works on that principle and is known as the motoring action. Now, the Fleming's left-hand rule is used to find out the direction of motion for the DC motor. Now, as we know, when we give a DC supply, the conductor experiences a force if it is placed in the magnetic field, and we can find out the direction of that force with the help of the Fleming's left-hand rule. So, Fleming's left-hand rule, you have to place your thumb, the forefinger and the middle finger at right angles to each other, the index finger pointing the direction of the magnetic field, the middle finger is the direction of the current, and then the thumb will show you the direction of the force. So over here you can see in the figure that we have taken a current which is coming out of the screen, and therefore the field direction is in from left to right, and therefore the direction of the force will be upwards. So that is your Fleming's left-hand rule. Now if you just change the direction of the current, that is make it in the opposite direction, going into the screen instead of coming out of the screen, in that case the force experienced will be in the downward direction, keeping the direction of the field the same as before. So you can see that when there is a coil, the coil direction will be always opposite. So one side of the coil will be forcing the coil to go upwards, while the other side of the coil will force the coil to go downwards. And therefore, you will have the rotation being possible for the DC motor. Now you can see the figure over here. I have taken a coil. Now the green wire experiences a force, and the coil tries to move upwards from the green side, and on the blue side the coil tries to go downwards. So there will be a movement. So that movement you can see over here. The green is coming upward and the blue is going downward. So after 90 degrees, after 180 degrees, the position of the green and the blue side has been interchanged. But you can see the supply side, it is now the black is on the right side. So the blue is having a downward current and the red is having a upward current. So the direction of the current in the coil has changed, and therefore again it will experience the same condition, that is the wire on the south side will experience a force upwards, and the wire on the north side will experience a force downward, and therefore you will have the uniform rotation of the rotor, and a uniform torque is being produced by the given motor. Now, along with the torque production, because you will have a current carrying conductor in the rotating magnetic field and it will be cutting the field, therefore there will be an EMF induced in the given motor. Now, when these armature windings are connected to a DC supply, an electric current sets up in the winding. The magnetic field may be provided by the field winding or using the permanent magnets. Normally, for smaller motors, we have got permanent magnets, and for the larger motors, we have got the field windings, that is electromagnetism. The commutator is made segmented to achieve the unidirectional torque, because when the coil rotates, the direction of the current in that coil changes, because the coil is being fixed to the commutator, and as the commutator rotates and the brush is fixed at its position, the brush is attached to the end covers, and so when the commutator rotates, the coil which is connected to the brush is having the same direction of the current, and the coil which is placed in that position will have the same direction of the force. So using commutator, we have got the unidirectional torque being produced, else the direction of the force would have reversed every time when the direction of the movement of conductor was reversed in the magnetic field. Now, according to the fundamental laws of nature, no energy conversion is possible until there is something to oppose the conversion. So in case of generator, this opposition is provided by the magnetic drag, while in case of DC motors, there is the back EMF. When the armature is rotating, the conductors are also cutting the magnetic flux lines, and hence, according to Faraday's law of electromagnetic induction, an EMF will be induced in the armature conductors. The direction of this induced EMF is such that it opposes the armature current, and this is the circuit diagram which illustrates the direction of the back EMF and the armature current. The magnitude of the back EMF is given by the same equation, EMF equation, what we had derived for the DC generator. Then the relation between the main supply, back EMF, and the armature current is given over here as EB will be equal to V minus IARA, or V will be equal to back EMF plus the armature drop, because armature has got certain resistance of the coils, and the current flowing through the coil will have a voltage drop, and therefore whatever is the applied voltage, that after the drop we will have the back EMF being opposing the very voltage which was producing it. Then you have got the DC motor voltage equations. For the shunt motor, the field is connected in parallel to the armature. Therefore, IF will be equal to V by RF. The armature current will be equal to the load current, because load current is the supply side, and the load current is supplying the armature current as well as the field current. Therefore, the armature current will be equal to the load current minus the field current, and the voltage V will be equal to back EMF plus the IARA drop, that is the voltage drop in the armature. EB is the back EMF. The equation remains the same as the generator EMF, that is E is equal to 5ZN P by 60A. Then for the series motor, the field is connected in series to the armature. Therefore, the load current will be equal to the field current, will be equal to the armature current, and the voltage applied has to supply the back EMF as well as the voltage drop in the armature and the field, and therefore V will be equal to EB plus IA into RA plus RS, both the resistances, armature and the series resistance. RA is the armature resistance, RS is the series resistance, and therefore back EMF will be equal to V minus IA RA plus RS. Now we'll try to derive the torque equation of the DC motor. When armature conductors of a DC motor carry current in presence of the stator field flux, a mechanical torque is developed between the armature and the stator. The torque is given by the product of force and the radius at which the force acts. Now this is your basic equation, which how you define the torque, that is torque is equal to the force into the radius of the movement. So over here the radius of the movement is the radius of the armature, and therefore work done by this force in one revolution will be given as force into the distance travelled, that is equal to the circumference of the armature and hence force is equal to F into 2 pi. The work done in one revolution will be equal to force into the circumference of the armature, F into 2 pi r. Therefore, net power developed in the armature will be work done divided by the time. And how do we calculate the time? The time is the total number of revolutions per second, and therefore it will be force into 2 pi r into the rotations per second. Capital N is the rotations in RPM. Therefore, we have taken as 2F into 2 pi r into N by 60. Capital N is the total number of rotations per second. But we know that F into R is the torque and 2 pi N by 60 is the angular velocity in radians per second. Therefore, the net power developed in the armature can be given as P is equal to omega T. Now, the armature torque, what is the armature torque being produced in the armature of the given motor? The mechanical power developed in the armature is converted to the electrical power. Hence, mechanical power will be equal to the electrical power. And the mechanical power, as we have seen, was given as P is equal to omega T. Now, because we are talking about the armature, hence PA will be equal to omega into torque developed in the armature, that is 2 pi N by 60 into torque developed in the armature. The electrical power in terms of the electrical quantities is given as the back EMF into the armature current, that is EB into IA. So we can write as the equation mechanical power is equal to electrical power. So we can write as omega T is equal to EBIA. And therefore we know that back EMF from the generated EMF equation, what we have done in the generator, back EMF is equal to P phi NZ by 60A, where P is the number of poles, phi is the flux per pole, N is the rotation of the armature in RPM, Z is the total number of conductors, and A is the total number of parallel paths depending on the lap and the wave winding. For lap winding, the number of parallel paths is equal to the total number of poles, and for wave winding, the total number of parallel paths is equal to always 2. Therefore, just using this equation, we can write as omega T, substituting EB and IA. You will get this equation. Now just rearrange it and keep all the constant terms of the motor in one group. That is, we can write as P is the constant number of poles is fixed. The Z, that is, you will have the total number of conductors as fixed. The number of parallel paths is fixed. So we can write it as TA is equal to phi into IA, because the omega on both sides got cancelled out, and therefore we can have just as the basic equation as PZ by 2 pi A into phi into IA. The rotation term was on both the sides of mechanical and the electrical power, hence that got cancelled out. So practically PZ by 2 pi A is constant for a DC machine. Hence we can say that the torque produced in a DC machine is proportional to flux and the armature current. Now for a shunt motor, because the supply is fixed, hence the field flux will be fixed, and therefore the torque will be proportional to the armature current directly. And in case of the series motor, the field current is the same as the armature current, and therefore the torque will be proportional to Ia square in case of DC series motor. Now the voltage equation was given as V is equal to EB plus IARA. Therefore, when you multiply both sides by IA, you get as VIA is equal to EBIA plus IA square RA. Now, what is IA square RA? IA square RA is the copper loss in the armature, and therefore that will be the heat produced in the armature coil, and we can say that the mechanical power was equal to EB into IA, that is the back EMF into the armature current, and the mechanical power was also given as omega T. So you can see that the electrical power is the input power and EBIA is the mechanical power plus the copper losses in the given armature. So the mechanical power developed will be after the losses are being consumed. So the mechanical power will be lesser than the electrical power practically, and these are the losses. So what are the different losses in the DC machine? The different losses in the DC machine will be as copper loss or the heat loss or I square R loss. The second, because it is an electromechanical device, so there will be some mechanical losses, plus it is the electromagnetic induction is there. So you will have the core over here, and therefore there will be core losses in the given machine. And because you have got commutator and brush arrangement, so there is normally a voltage drop between in the brush of the given machine. But normally, because it is very small as compared to the other losses, so many a times we neglect these brush losses. The stray load losses are the mechanical losses which is dependent on the load of the DC machine. So we have got electrical losses over here as copper loss, core loss and the brush losses, while the mechanical losses are friction and windage losses, because once there is a rotation, there will be friction between the at the bearings or the end connection, so there will be friction losses. Windage losses, because you work against the air or the fluid that is known as, so that is the windage losses. And the stray load losses, as the load increases, the work done has to be more, and therefore you have got the stray load losses. So electrical losses, copper loss, core loss and brush loss, and mechanical losses are friction, windage and stray load losses. But out of these, your core loss, mechanical loss and brush loss is fixed losses, while the copper loss and stray load losses are the variable losses. So you can see this power flow diagram of the DC motor. We give the electrical input power. After that, there will be the stray losses and the copper losses in the given motor. Then the core losses and you will get the mechanical output power, that is EB into IA. So once you get the EB into IA, then you will have the mechanical losses, that is the windage losses and the friction losses, and then you will get the actual output at the shaft of the given motor. So we define the two terms as mechanical output power is equal to the electrical power minus copper loss minus core loss, that is the electrical losses will be subtracted from the electrical power and you get the mechanical output power. While the power at the shaft will be the mechanical power developed minus the friction and windage losses and the stray losses. So the actual output power will be combination of the electrical losses plus the mechanical losses, and then the rest of the power will be available at the shaft. So what all have we learned today is, we have discussed about the working principle of the DC motor, which is based on the Fleming's left-hand rule, and we try to find out the direction of rotation. If we know the direction of the field and the direction of the current, then the motor voltage equations and the torque equation, the losses what are taking place in a motor, and the power flow diagram of the DC motor. Thank you.